Since I missed last week's movie, I'll be doing a 2-in-1 movie with having all of last week's information, this past week's game, and whatever happened in between. Starting with Seattle's game at Atlanta, Seattle came into the game very banged up, with players like Trey Flowers, Lano Hill, Bradley McDougald, and even their newly acquired safety, Quandre Diggs, all missed the game. There was also a rumor that 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen would not start. This game versus Atlanta became known to everybody as the game of 2 halves, where Seattle dominated the game 24-0 in the first half. But when they came out in the second half, they were terrible. Russell only threw the ball 5 times, which were all completions, but Seattle just sat back and tried to run the ball, giving Atlanta many opportunities to get back in the game. The final score was 27-20. Coming into the game, Atlanta only had 1 win on the season, and were starting their backup quarterback, who is very old and has been known to throw a lot of interceptions. The biggest highlights of the game were DK Metcalf's 2 touchdowns, where he looked wide open. Coming into Week 9 versus Tampa Bay, Seattle was able to acquire Pro Bowl receiver Josh Gordon. Now this could be a good thing or a bad thing. Gordon is a very unusual talent and is known for his big play abilities, but there's no telling how long he can remain on the roster. Head coach Pete Carroll said that Gordon would not start in the Tampa Bay game, with him not learning the offense and all. Gordon will be very useful in Seattle's matchup against the San Francisco 49ers on Monday night at Levi Stadium. After San Francisco acquired wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders from the Denver Broncos, Seattle needed to add more big playmakers to their offense to keep up. A few final notes on Seattle's victory over Atlanta. Before we move on, linebacker Bobby Wagner was able to break the Seahawks' all-time record for tackles, which was held by safety Eugene Robinson, and Wagner did it in a much shorter time. And also fellow linebacker KJ Wright became the 4th all-time leading tackler in Seahawks history. In Pete Carroll's Friday's press conference, he announced to the media that safety Tedrick Thompson had been put on the IR because of a torn labrum that had been bothering him for the whole season. This could explain Thompson's poor tackling this season. In his place, rookie Marquise Blair made the start, with Bradley McDougald coming back to the strong safety spot. Seattle started off slow against Tampa Bay, falling behind 21-13 at halftime, similar to the 2013 game. Seattle was able to come back in the second half, thanks to rookie wide receiver DK Metcalf for his big plays, and Tyler Lockett as well. Metcalf finished the game with 168 receiving yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 2-point conversion. Fellow wide receiver Tyler Lockett had a similar amount of yardage and 2 touchdowns. Seattle almost won the game at the end of regulation on a field goal try, but was missed by kicker Jason Myers, which would send the game into overtime. The Seahawks won the toss to start overtime and went right down the field and scored a touchdown to win the game. Tight end Jacob Hollister made several big-time catches in the game. 2 went for touchdowns, one of them being the overtime touchdown that sealed the game. Running back Chris Carson had a big game on the ground, rushing 16 times for 105 yards. He was able to break away in the second half for a long 59-yard run. Carson was also very helpful in the passing game, snagging a one-handed catch to go for a first down. Quarterback Russell Wilson had a big game against Tampa, completing 67.2% of his passes for 378 yards, 5 touchdowns, and had a passer rating of 133.7. It's obvious right now that Wilson has to win the NFL MVP. There's no one else as great. Maybe Lamar Jackson, but he's not a great passer, or as good as Wilson. For all of you who have him on your starting fantasy list, you have to admit he's been helpful. He's been getting a lot of fantasy points. He really helped me this week. For my entire breakdown of how I felt how the Seahawks played, I feel their offense was great. Maybe started off a little quicker, but besides that, Wilson's the MVP of the league. Very good wide receivers in Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Chris Carson is phenomenal. And when they put in Rashad Penny to spell him, he can make those big, quick 10-yard gains like that. Their offensive line is great, one of the better lines in the league. Their special teams coverage is great compared to last year. Punter Michael Gibson hasn't been his 2018 self, but he's still not bad. But kicker Jason Myers has been having some trouble in the kicking game. For instance, for him missing those 2 field goals this last game were really pivotal. And if Seattle wasn't able to score a touchdown in that opening drive, who knows what would happen. For their defense, there's no excuse for their starting defensive line. They should be getting a lot of sacks, which Jadeveon Clowney, Pro Bowler from the previous years, Seattle goes out and trades for him, and he does nothing. He's only got 2 sacks on the season. And Ziggy Ansah. And yes, he's coming out from shoulder surgery in the offseason, but There's no burst. He just stands there and he doesn't seem as quick as he used to. And their secondary is like a leaky sieve, letting anybody pour right through them. Their one strength on their defense is their starting linebacking core in Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, and Michael Kendricks. Seattle will go on the road next week to San Francisco to take on the San Francisco 49ers on Monday night. Here's Seattle's chance to prove to the rest of the league that they can be a Super Bowl team. Wide receiver Josh Gordon will get his first start with Seattle against San Francisco. Let's see if he really pans out. And some final roster moves from today. Seattle took rookie guard Phil Haynes off the PUP list and put him on the active roster, while cutting rookie receiver Jerry Jennings. Haynes will help provide depth on that offensive line, probably behind guard Mike Iupati. That's where he played well in college. So thanks for watching. Don't get mad at me that I forgot to do last week's video. I promise it'll be better. So if you have any ideas for future movies, be sure to leave them below because I'll probably use them. I always read your comments, so be sure to do that. If you enjoyed this movie, be sure to give it a like because it makes me very happy. And subscribe to get more of my awesome movies. And hit the notification bell to always get notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks.